Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here. And today is part 4 of my mass making 16 Woodlands journals. So here they are. This is 8 of them, and I do have 8 more over there. They're just not quite finished. I still have to put the crocheted fibers on the inside, both the green and the brown colors. But otherwise they are done. To this stage. So they all have their trims, the outside edging. In the last video, I was asking you guys what you thought I should put down the center. And so far, I think it's going to be the brown trim, because that seems to be the general vote. So I think that's exactly what I'm going to use down the center. I kind of like it. It's got a little bit of gold in there, so that will be a good way to finish it. Now this is quite thick because this is actually one of the inside pieces. If you hear my husband upstairs, he's banging around doing something. And he'll be noisy as all get out. That's him. Anyway, so there are the eight journals. There are 8 more. Like I said, they just have to have the trims finished. I'm going to take one out to work with, and then I'm going to put these aside. So there's still the trim to do. There's still, a focal point in the front, and there's going to be some embellishing yet. They all have the pocket to add, tuck something in the front as well as in the back. Now in the inside, I haven't done any tuck pockets yet because I want to see kind of what the signature is going to look like on the inside before I make that decision as to what I want to do yet further to decorate them. So the next step is, of course, to pick out papers. Now, because this is just a folded journal, there is no spine to this. I mean, I could round it a little bit to make it a little bit more curved to allow for more paper, but it's not a very big journal. So I know just from experience of doing these that if I add 15 pages in here, that is enough, especially if you start adding in, some tickets and tags and journal cards and that type of thing into the pages. That's going to make it expand even further. Excuse me. So I kind of went with the idea that I wanted 15 pages. So from there, I can decide on other things. You guys will see as we go along, but I kind of went with 15 pages. Now, because I'm using kits, and I'm trying to use kits that are that have everything included, kind of thing. It's hard to explain what I'm trying to say here. But because I'm using kits and I really wanted to have the kit represented properly in each journal, I'm using a lot of kit paper. So I don't normally do that. Normally when I get kits, I print the sheets, and then I might use 2 or 3 in a journal, but I might use one from somebody else and one from somebody else. And the reason for that is I don't like my journals to be cookie cutter. I don't want them to look like everybody else's journals. I don't often use the tags and tickets and things that come with it, but in this case, because I want to represent each kit, I figured I would work with a good portion of each kit in one journal. It's not to say I won't cross over a little bit as we go along when it comes to the ephemera, but for the most part, I'm trying to work with one kit in one journal. But because I'm doing 16 journals, that would have meant having 16 individual kits. So that's a little bit much. So I've narrowed it down to 4 kits, and I will do 4 kits, 4 journals with each kit. So that means a lot of things are going to get printed 4 times. It'll be some rearranging and working things a little bit different to make them look different. But for the most part, it's not like somebody's going to buy 3 journals exactly the same anyway. So I'm not really too concerned about that part. And I am planning to sell these journals in my upcoming sale that I want to do. So I would just bring one of each one at a time and then sell them that way. But it's a great way to mass make. You know, it's a great way if I wanted to give some as gifts or give some as prizes or happy mail. It's an easy way to do it. And you know, even though they are going to all be very similar, you know, everyone is done by hand. Everyone is put together individually. So there is still that personal touch that you do with each thing. And as much as you try to make, you know, 16 journals exactly the same, it would never work anyway. I would get bored to tears. So, I mean, I'm just leaving this journal out for you to see as we go through the different kits so that you can see how it might work with it. So because there's 15 pages, I'm taking 6 journal page spreads from a kit. And I've printed them out, printed them both sides. You'll see that in a minute. And so they will be signature pages that go in the journal. And because I said I wanted a total of 15, that meant I had to add other things. So I'm adding quite a variety of papers here, and I'm calling them papers. And then I also have scrapbook papers. So I will probably use 3 papers from my scrapbook papers. So that takes me to 9, which then gives me 6 papers that I'm going to use for the regular papers. So I'll just go through them really quickly so you can see them, and then I'll show you my process for doing this. So I have ledger paper. So that, you know, I chose that because it's in the shades of green, of course, and it's printed on both sides. So really nothing to do except maybe embellish it a little bit. That's the first one. The second one is handmade paper. And I have a variety of this handmade paper with, some has these flower petals in it. Some has just speckles and specks. That's the same, I think, yeah. Some different colors. I'm really not too concerned when it's in the book because it's shades of green anyway. This is a larger sheet that I will have to tear down as I go along. This is a heavier handmade paper, so I will probably use this in smaller pieces. And then this is just more the same, but they're full-size sheets, and I think that should probably end up being enough. But if I don't have enough in the greens, because this is all I had in green, I can probably add some beige or cream color and that type of stuff to go with it. So that's page number 2. Page number 3, I wanted to use music sheet, and this has already got kind of a creamy colored age to it. So I think this would be perfect. It's of course too big, so we will be doing some cutting down here. But it is a nice color. There's not a lot of words on here, just a little bit. So I find that there are a few titles that I can maybe use, like the Swanee River is kind of foresty. Love's Old Sweet Song, that's kind of cute. English May Dance, that might be nice for the Fairy Journal. So I would, you know, if it comes up, I will certainly play on these words, but for the most part, I'm not going to really give it too much thought, except there's this one, Mountain Song. And then you can see some of them are a little bit darker even. But yeah, so just a kind of a plain music sheet. This way you can write in between the lines. You can use it as a method of clipping something onto it. You can further decorate it. It's page number 3. I've had this unicorn book for a while. I think you might have seen it in one of my thrifting hauls. At the time I paid $5.99 for 2 of them, so it would have been 6 times 7, $4.20 for each book. They are, the other one I think was more wildlife too, but I don't know where I put it. This one's got unicorns, but I thought that would be kind of fitting, and there's some dragons in here. So I will probably use some of these pages in here. Nice cream colored background. Love the brown. It really does match the houndstooth coloring, although not so much from the outside point of view by the time we're finished, but certainly the brown on the inside and everything else that we're going with it. So some of them are great images that you could write in the center, or you could have a hidden flip if this will work in the size. And I'll show you how I figure that out. And then so on and so forth. Different pages in here. So one of these pages will go in each of the book. I have this, this is printer paper. You know, you get those books that are 100 sheets. So I got this one, and it's kind of a seashell. It's like almost like a fossil look to it, but of a seashell. And it is plain white on the other side. Now this will end up having to be decorated because I don't like the plain white. I thought of running it through my printer and printing on the other side. I also thought about coffee dyeing, but I think what I'll do is cut them down to size, however I want them to be, and then I think I'm going to do some stenciling on them. I have a set of large stencils that are the Tree of Life, and so I figured if I did some stenciling on here with brown and green for the leaves, and then a brown trunk, and then the roots, that might look nice. So when I get to that point, you will see how I do that. I don't know how long today's video is going to be. It may be just showing you the different papers and then how I start to trim them down. And the last of the 6 pages that I chose was this rusty orange kind of brown paper. I managed to get a whole flat of this. I think there was 500 sheets at one time, and I have been chipping away, and it takes forever. So when I saw this, and I went, oh yeah, I'm going to use up 16 of these papers for sure in these journals. So that's the 6 pages. So then there was I've got my ruler here. I'm just going to the scrapbook papers. Maybe I'll get this kit out of the way first. Oh, I wonder if these are the pages I was looking for. Yes, I think they were. I had misplaced some papers and couldn't find them. Yeah, they are. They're extras. Okay, so then I don't have to print as many. I only printed 8 sets today. To get started, I wanted to see how they worked out. So it's like 2 of each set. But here's the scrapbook paper. And I left this piece here because just to show you that I cut them down to more manageable sizes. I kind of knew that, I didn't need this edge page, based on the length of the book. And then I just have to figure out how I want to fold it up. This is kind of a heavier cardstock. I don't know that I'll use this for each one. But we'll see. And so these were the offcuts. I thought I would show you them just so that I have all of the offcuts to these journals, or to these scrapbook papers. And I will most likely use them for making tags and journal cards within the book as well. So these papers that are on top here, they were already double-sided papers, so I didn't have to do anything to them. And this was one I just found in my stash. If you look, you can see there's a little tear in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of chewed up. So I figured, well, I might use it. I'm not 100%, but I might use it. And another piece that was an offcut. Now this says family. I probably will cover that up a little bit with something else, but I can easily make a couple of journal cards out of this. So this one was another double-sided paper that I just had. And then the rest of this, and this is a great way to use this paper up. The rest of this, except for this one, I think, and maybe one other one, was all scrapbook paper that I didn't care for. Like, I do like this one. And what I did is I pre-cut them to 8.5 by 11. So I took off the 1-inch strip. And if they were paper pieces, then of course I kept the paper strip to use for washi tape, which might come back right back into this journal. And then the offcut, of course, is again possibilities of using it within the journal. The only thing is that I did go back and print on both sides of these. So I found different prints that I liked in my stash to do the back side, because I really didn't want to spend a lot of time stenciling on all of these. So I ran them through the printer, and then because they were so stark scrapbooking looking papers, I did the same prints over top on this side of the paper to make it look a little bit more aged and distressed. Now you probably can't see much of that within this on this page, but I know what this paper looked like before, and it was much lighter than this. So with the overlay that I've printed on here, it was just a distressed paper digital. Actually, Caroline sells some different distressed paper digitals in her coffee site. And then these were just prints that I printed that I had, very pale prints. And you can see from it being 8.5 by 11, and I did use the full print, but mine doesn't print borderless. So I will have to trim this off the edges, these little white bits, or cover them. And you'll see my process for working with this paper as we go along. So I just picked different ones. And again, this one is distressed on top. You can sort of tell this is what the print looked like. This is a great way to use up those things that are just not quite what you want. But in this case, because I was looking for browns, this was just a very pale paper that had fleur-de-lis on it. It's like a diamond shape. I don't know if you'd be able to pick that up on there or not, but I just again used an overlay that had some script and distressing, and just put it over top, and then printed on the back in this green color. I used, a lot of times I use the draft in my print options. If you are printing and you're using your PC and you are using Windows, when you use the print function through Windows, there is an option to go from standard or high quality print, or a draft print. And a draft is just a very, very pale version. So if you haven't experimented with your printer, do give some of these a try, and try printing draft on the back side of your scrapbook paper. You might find that you actually like it. So yeah, so these were just different ones. Now this one you can sort of tell because it's a lot lighter over on this corner, and because my printer doesn't go right to the end. So you can sort of see how much of a difference it makes on overprinting with something else. Like if you have a script, you could overprint with a script on your scrapbook paper. You could take pictures of flowers, the digital of flowers, and print it over your scrapbook paper, just to give it a more distressed and personal look. So again, here is just like this paper here. If you look at it from the center, I would never in a million years use that paper the way it was. So printing over top, and then, I can do some ink stamping and collaging yet as I go along, but that's how these papers get used. And then it's printed on the other side in this light green. Same with something like this, not something I would run to stripes, but I've added some distressing on here. But this just gives you an idea of the types of papers that I used out of my stash. And I literally just went and grabbed one big chunk of scrapbook paper because I have no shortage of that. And I just flipped through and I said anything that was brown, green, cream, ivory, rust is what I printed on. So that just gives you an idea. Like this damask is nice. And this is one I wouldn't use quickly, but because I printed over top of them. Now this one is just plain paper, but I did print on the other side of this one. So it takes a little bit of work to do all of this, but it's a great way to use up these oddball papers. And so if you've got an Epson printer, or a printer where you have no problem using up ink, where you have that the ink tanks, this is a great way to do it and use up some of those not so favorite papers. That's just me. So yes, each of my signatures or each of my journals will have 3 random papers, and I will literally just pick 3 and pull them out, and that will be how I work with these scrapbook papers and integrate them into the covers. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to take 3 pages. Let's see, I'm going to pull this one, this one, and a green one. There we go. So I'm going to get this out of the way. Onto the floor, the way we like it. This is just more of the same that I will show you after. So I'm going to grab one of these. One of these. No thought involved. I'm going to grab one of these. And this will probably be good enough for 2 of them. Look at that. It says Stars of the Summer Night. Isn't that fun? 1 ledger paper. And I'm going to take this green paper here. So this should give me 9 in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 3 scrapbook papers. So this is going to be used, and I think that's a nice combination to go with this. What do you think? I think it looks good. So the next thing now are the kits. So as I mentioned, I chose 4 different kits. Now you did see part of this one the other day, but now I've printed it on quality, extra white, bright white paper. I used the high standard, the high print on my printer, and I printed the journal pages that I wanted to use. So this, and I will have all the links to these kits in the description box on this this video. And this is called Bordered Woodlands. I believe it's by, her name is the Dutch Lady, I think. But I will have the link to her site. She is on Creative Fabrica, which is, I'm a member of Creative Fabrica, so I took advantage of getting some of these kits from there. So when I printed this page, it's 2 journal pages together, and I can't remember. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them allow you to print in A5, some of them print in A4. But I automatically printed this in a smaller full-size page. Again, if you use the Windows print, you have the option to change your paper, or not your paper, your layout. So instead of printing a full page, you can print 4 to a page, you can print 2 to a page. You do have the option of printing different sizes, but I'm just using 8.5 by 11 paper. So it wasn't the size of paper I was changing, it was the size of print I was changing. So I printed it, there's a full size, letter size, where it prints to the full page, but it still leaves a little bit of a margin. Just a hairline of a margin. And then the next, there's a couple of, like a set of 2 and a set of 4, I think. And then there's another full page that's a little bit smaller and narrower. That is the one I used because I knew that this wasn't a full-size journal. So 1, why waste the ink by printing it large and then cutting it down? And 2, when I printed on this side, I used the smaller page print, and then on the back side I printed the larger print. So you can see this is where it leaves a margin, and I didn't have my my paper feed set up right, so I kept putting papers in crooked. And that's another reason why I wasn't concerned, because this paper is now smaller. I know that when I cut it down, it will bleed right to the end on both sides. So no matter what, I know that my paper is going to be covered perfectly on the other side. Because nothing worse than printing this full page and then you go and you trim that little margin off, and then you turn the paper over and it's gone through wonky like this, and then you got to trim it back this way now to fit, and then you got to fix the paper up. So I just figured if I printed it larger on this side, slightly smaller on this side, I know if I cut this, I'm good. Does that make sense? I hope so. So these are the images. Now I'm gonna show you them that I'm using for this journal, and they are still larger, but I'm going to show you how I cut these down and how I decide they get cut down. So it's this one, and it's printed on the other side. So far the only image that I have to do anything to is this one seashell one where it's blank on the other side. Yeah, I think I told you that I thought about going and printing on all the backs of these, but I said, nah, I'm just going to do something with stencils, and I think it'll look equally nice. So then, so that's a rabbit and a deer. And then this one is, just love the colors in there, very vibrant. This one is, I guess, a hedgehog, right? Or, I don't know, hedgehog? Yeah, I think it's a hedgehog. And then a wolf and a bear, same thing on the back. And then two different owl images. The colors are very, very vibrant. And this is just bright white paper. And then I printed this forest one. It was part of the kit. So I printed the forest one. And then now we're getting into the second set. Now this journal set came with more than 6 pages. So when I was printing them, I just kind of picked and choose which ones I wanted. So this will be set 1. I believe that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will be pretty much the same. The only thing is I printed this page instead of the forest pages. So it's just a matter of switching it around. And then her kit comes with bookmarks, which I will use and put through the laminator. I've already done one set. Now, because I only printed 2 sets of these, and there's 8 bookmarks on a page, that's a lot. So I've laminated these. So I probably, for the 4 journals, I'm only going to use 4 anyway. So that will be one of the things that's different in each journal, because it'll be dependent on how I pull the 4. And so each journal will have something different in that aspect. And so this sheet will also get laminated, but I won't have to go back and print more. There's more than enough to cover this journal. And I would probably, using 4, I would probably use 1 on the inside, or the front and back on the inside pocket that I made. So 1 would probably go within here. I think they're long enough. Yeah, they can tuck in there pretty good. Usually they don't go all the way down to the bottom anyway. So I will tuck one of these inside the pockets on the front and the back, and then maybe distribute 2 throughout the journal. But they'll be more likely just extra little bonuses that I include with the journal, because you don't, on a 15-page journal, you don't need 4 bookmarks. That's pretty for sure. So yeah, that was one of the extras that came with it, was the bookmarks. She also had like, these were the same images, but instead of being 2 on a page, they were individual. So I just printed them 4 to a page. I figured this is a good size for doing my journal cards. And there were some different designs when you printed them individually. She had more pages to choose from. So I've printed all different ones here. And no, other than, oh, I think there's one more sheet here. No. Other than that, she had some square cards as well. But I didn't go into printing a lot of that because it was repetitive, exactly the same thing. So I just figured I will work with these 2 and the little bits of ephemera that I did pick out to work in the kits or into the journals. And then I will you know, steal from one or the other if I've got extra, or make some collage papers that I would put in as ephemera in the journal. So those are staying with the journal. This now I'm just going to put off to the side because it's just for another page. And before I continue to work on this journal, I'm just going to show you the other 3 kits. I'm saving the best for the last, just so you know. Did I do this right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, so there's this kit here. Now this kit is called Green Gold Secret, and this one just had full-size pages that I kind of figured out how to make them into pages that I can fold up, you know, landscape or portrait, which ones I could use. The kit has a lot in it, but I just again picked certain ones. I complemented it with another kit, and I will get to that in a second. And then I used backgrounds from yet a 3rd kit called Rustic Sage Printable Papers. And I printed those in draft 2 and a variety of different prints. They are very, very vibrant, but when you print in draft, it's just like a little skeleton print over top of your paper. So that is what I wanted, so that you could fully write on the back side of it and not worry about not having places to write in your journal. So this one, of course, was landscape, so I'm able to fold that quite nicely to make a journal page. This one I can use the same way, or I could use it the long way if I want to, and I will show you that as we go. And then there's this one. And so it's the same thing. I just chose the background images to put on the back here. And then I will decide what orientation to put this in. Another pretty picture. Very vibrant colors, but they blend and match very nicely with this, as you can see. And because this was just full-size pages, there was no ephemera with it. What I did is I printed some of the images that I wasn't using as journal pages in 4 up on a page. Is that making sense? Like, these were all full-size pages, but because I printed them 4 to a page, that's a perfect size for journal cards. There's, you know, now I just have to embellish them a little bit and put a back on them, and they're good to go. So there were several pages of that I used. Love the colors. And this is where I had to, well, here's another page of the journal cards, the ephemera. And so here I printed some, these are Earth Goddess bookmarks, and they are a set of, I think a set of 18. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So they're a set of 18. They just come, that's all they came in the kit. And so I figured, well, I will use maybe a couple of them in this journal, because again, you don't need a ton of bookmarks. but they did have 18 to choose from, so I just printed the 4 pages, and then whatever's left over will get forwarded into another kit, There comes a point where all these extras just get put in a pile, and then I will draw from them as I need stuff to work with. I found these a little bit dark when I printed them, and these are going to get, some of them, not all of them, will get laminated as well to use on the outside in the pockets and stuff. Anywhere where there's a lot of handling, I like to laminate them so that I know that they're going to wear very nicely. But I love the colors for the most part, except for the darkness at the bottom. I may trim them down. They're quite long, so I may trim them down so there's not so much dark color there. But again, lots to work with. And I do have my 6 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can see I've printed a little bit darker on the back side of this. And then this one, some of them are the same. Some are some of the other pages that I'm using for the ephemera pieces, but in full size. where did they go? Here they are. So some of them are the same, some of them are different than these. But that's the 6 pages that I will be using there, plus the ephemera. I hope this is all making sense. Now, I don't know how much you want to watch me put all these together. I'm still a little unsure as to how much of this you want to see. So far, I'm about 24 hours into making these and still a little ways to go. A little bit, right? Just a little bit. Okay, this next kit, well, it just kind of lends itself to you know, being in the forest, in the woodlands. I decided to do, it's called Green Witch Journal Papers. And so this kit has 160 items of papers. And they are, again, all full-size papers that you would print either landscape or portrait. And then you decide how you want to use them. So in this case, this kit or this journal would have a broom. So I would I'm going to work with it from portrait point of view and then show you how I trim it down. And I used a crow. Very nice. I love that. There were a lot of background images here that I was able to use to complement this as well. The owl. Just a distressed page that could be folded either direction, which I liked. This mushroom will have to be cut down, but I just kind of like the colors and then the feather. So this is that 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that would be one journal. Now this would be the second journal, and this one's got the chalice in there. It's got a cat. It's got this moon, and I love the color combination of the sky there, and I keep burying this. But I think you know that the colors are complementary. I was trying to be careful and pick certain ones. I really liked this distressed one, so I used it twice. And then this is a different mushroom one, and this is a different, oh, it might be the same feather. Yeah, it might be the same feather. But because it had 160 items, I was able to print lots of different journal cards. And so I may not use them all in the one journal. Well, definitely not. I know that. But some of them will get dispersed into the other journals because I will have extras. And even though this is called the Green Witch Kit, I can still use an owl in another journal. I could possibly get away with the lantern in another journal. There's the cats and the crows. You know, there's a cauldron here and some bottles. That more would stay with a witch's journal. So I will, you know, disperse 1 or 2 into each journal to use them up. I don't have to print any more of these. There's plenty here to work with. There's the, you know, it's like one of their emblem sign things. It's not Tree of Life, but it's not Wiccan, but sort of. There are some gems, another chalice, another cauldron. Is that a mirror? Can't see my image in that. So different symbols that you know represent this green witch style. And if I don't use all of these, and now here come the witches, and they're quite pretty, most of them. So I felt it wasn't too off the track of, you know, I don't like really creepy stuff. I don't like creepy stuff, but I figured, you know, they're quite pretty. It might be something you would wear if you were going out for Halloween and you were a pretty girl. You could pull this off. So again, some of them I will use, but I'm only dispersing these between 4 journals, but I may add extra cards if there's left over to each journal as, you know, just little extra cards to have with the kit, with the finished journal. So there are quite a few of these lovely ladies. These are all different. All of them are different. So another nice kit. I think I printed, what, 5, right? Or 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. So if I use 4 for each journal, that is way more than enough. And then a couple of these dispersed through the journal, and that's plenty of cards and tags to add. It's not a question, when you're doing a book this small, it's not a question of adding a lot of tags and journal cards. It's just, you know, creating that theme and the balance of color and stuff that I'm going with. So that is the third kit that I'm working out of. I hope again that all of this does make sense as to how I'm doing them. And they are all backed with different types of paper, different colors, still light enough to use for writing purposes. Now, in the case of journal cards, I haven't done anything on the back because, you know, they're just paper, so they need to be a little bit more substantial. Some of these I may use on the front as part of the cover. I'm still undecided as to what I'm doing. I think I showed you the owl just to give you an idea, but I'm still undecided. But if I do use these on the outside, they would be laminated, and that would give them extra body and strength as well. And durability. They wouldn't be used as a journal card, but more as an embellishment to the journal. So that's the third kit. And like I said, I will have all of the links to these kits in the description box below. So the fourth, the final, but not the least in any way, is from my dear friend Caroline from Caroline's Craft Tree. It's called the Woodlands Fairies, Flowers, and Friends. It's available on her coffee site as well as Creative Fabrica. So if you are a member of Creative Fabrica, you can get all of these kits there. If not, these 3 kits that I showed you already are all on Creative Fabrica, but Caroline also has them on her coffee site. So if you are a member, I don't know how it works with these kits. I don't know if this is a public kit, Caroline, or if it's a member kit. You can maybe let me know, and I will mention that coming up. But I love it. I love the colors with this. This just gives me way the most options. She's really made it a well-rounded kit, and I have some fun plans with this. So again, she gives you a combination of lined paper, and she gives you some background papers to use. I only chose 2 of her backgrounds, but she gave a whole bunch of backgrounds. But when I was printing, I just wanted to do like 3 or 4 at a time of the same pattern just to make it easy. So I love this one. So you can see how it will fold up and have this along the edge of the page. It's going to be gorgeous. Oh, I forgot to print on this side. Oh, no, I did. It's a very light print. So there's this one. And then this is a page that is split in 2. So easy to fold up. And again, I printed it on the smaller of the full-size pages so that when I print it on the back, it's easy to cut out. Although you can't see it here, but it is decorated on the back because I used the draft print. This one I love. It has an owl. It has leaves. It's got a couple of fairies, lots of mushrooms. Fun piece to work with. This one I love. I love the different writing spots, so you can really, create different little focal points, or, make little comments and stuff that are individual. You can add pictures in here as well to further enhance this. Love, 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 love this. This one is gorgeous, and it even says Woodland on it. And you can see all the colors are coming through in here. So very nice. Caroline, I love this kit. And then I chose this one with the deer and the squirrel, the fawn and the fawns and the squirrels. And this goes into the second kit now. But my favorite part about this is all of the ephemera. Okay, so that's the second kit. And this is where I say, some kits just give you pages and you've got to figure it out yourself. Caroline does it all for you. There are little mini cards, envelopes. Like, there's nothing to do on here. I'm going to probably print on the back side of this. I forgot to do that on this one. So that I have a nice design on the inside when you open up the envelope. But beautiful, ready to go. She gives you tickets. Just gorgeous. Look at all the different fairies. Look at this. Isn't that adorable? So these would be really nice in the pockets on the front. And she gives you shorter ones as well. So, you know, I don't know what my pockets are looking like, whether or not they would accommodate this one. I don't know. My pockets might be too high up. Oh, a little bit. But I could always trim this down a little bit, just so that they fit within the pocket. So some of these might get inside the pockets on the front and the back. But love them. Caroline, they're so beautiful. And love the small ones. This allows you to take things like the tickets and, you know, fabrics and clusters and embellish them even further to add into the journal. This is a nice size too. The journaling cards. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And there's 3, 6, 8 cards to work with. And look at the images on these. So here again, if I'm looking for a focal point image to put on the front of one of the journals, I can easily take this sheet and laminate it and cut these up and laminate. Or I could take pieces. I don't have to laminate the whole sheet. I can take individual ones that I choose to laminate and put on the front cover. Love this. Then she gives you a set of bookmarks. Oh, look at that little guy. Isn't he cute? So here, especially, I love the rust in here because it really will bring out that rust-colored paper that I have that I really want to use up. And so there, I've got some fun ideas to show you with that. She gives you journal cards. Look at these 2 journal cards. Just beautiful. Now, this kit is already available if you go to her site, and I will give you the links below. Now, I printed 2 extra of this page, and here is why. I am going to cut this down to just that strip. And then I'm going to back it onto some type of cardstock or paper backing to give it a little bit more weight to it, a little bit more substance to it. And then I'm going to fussy cut around the front of her all the way down. And same with this one. I'm going to cut her around all the way down, but I'm going to cut the paper first so that it's easier to manage as far as gluing. So gluing it to another paper or a cardstock, cutting them out, and then I'm going to use these as tuck spots on a page. How's that? And then I have this beautiful lined paper that I can cut into a nice little piece here and funk it up and dress it up a little bit and use that to tuck into the tuck spot for one spot. So I've just printed 2 of them for now, but to show when we get to this one, I will show you how I'm doing this so that you have a better understanding of how I'm going to do it. So that's Caroline's kit. Caroline, I love this. I'm looking forward to using this kit as well. I'm not sure how far and like I said, how much of this journey you actually want to see. So I may do a lot of preparation of the pages off camera and then come back and just show you highlights like the fairy that I cut out, and you know, maybe different highlights of things that I use for decorating and embellishing and stuff. But for the most part, I think, you know, to do 16 kits and show you every step of the way would be boring for both of us. Because when I work, I tend to work, you know, straight through and fast. So I think I'd be better off to show you what I've done at the end where you can see all of them at once. So the last thing I'm going to show you is when you're doing stuff like this, especially when you're mass making, there are all kinds of mistakes to make and misprints and things that didn't quite turn out for whatever reason. you know, I have some ink spots, and I did this one in draft because I hadn't changed my printer, so it ended up being in draft. So things like this, I again save them. This was not a good print. I didn't like these images, but I do save these papers, these offcuts. Oh, now here's another one. I'll explain that one. But I save them so that at the end, if I need some little thing, I can just go into this pile and work with it. Or if I want to do some master boards and then cut them up, I would work in these colors and include these papers in those master boards. Those are things that I would work with. So I'm just going to go through why they didn't make the cut. This one, I used the wrong print setting for this type of paper, and I just said plain paper, and so it just printed a very pale print. So this will become masterboard. Even though I printed on the other side, it may become a base for a journal card, and you won't even see this. I'll just use this as the background paper that I make for a journal card. So 2 of those, not watching what I was doing, or maybe there was 3. Yeah, okay, this one, same thing. I didn't quite like it, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to use that kit. And plus I had printed it on a lower setting, as you can see based on some of the other prints. This one, this is part of that one kit called Green Gold Secret. It was the only image of a lady. I thought, oh, she's going to be beautiful in the book, but she is created with AI, and this person was not paying attention or didn't care. I don't know. And the eyes are not perfect. So to me, it's not a print worthy of going in a journal. I don't like that wonky looking eye. So I will either use part of this as collage or something. And it's too bad because she is beautiful, right? And the colors are just so vibrant. But that one thing turned me off from this kit. But the rest of the pages are beautiful and nice to work with. But, I will still use it. Didn't print on the back side, so this will be collage fodder. This was one of Caroline's. Wasn't watching what I was doing and printed in a lower standard. Same with this one. So these will get used for collage. This one, or these ones, were bad prints, and I wasn't paying attention again. And this was a paper, used paper that I use to do tests and stuff, but it wasn't testing. It was just in the printer feed, and I didn't catch it in time, so I canceled it. And then some black printing on there, faded. But I could use this side and make 4 journal cards if I want. So something like this could get glued onto something here that's not perfect, and vice versa. This is printed nicely on the back, but it was just a little bit too dark for writing. And then I decided not to use these fairies. They're too anime for me, but they will possibly be used if I need something extra. Because they have such a beautiful and dark design on the back, I may just cut this into one piece and fold it and make like a little journal to go inside of a journal, like a little mini notebook or whatever. So it's possible I will use it. These are all extras, and they get dealt with after, or as I need something. So there's another one here. This is another small one, so it could be notebooks that I tuck in or add with it, stick in those pockets. This was a kit I decided not to use. Another one I decided not to use, but it's not to say I won't take these if I find I need some stuff. And then this was wrong size print, so I ended up cutting off some of the... But these are things that happen. Another not so great kit that the eyes or the bodies or something is wrong with them. This one, I loved this, but it was a witch one again, and it's more in the shades of this blue teal, not green teal. But I love the kitty cats, so I still will use it one way or another, but not in that journal. And here I had printed the wrong direction. So it just shows you, and again, this one is printed on the one side, not the other. It's a little bit faded. This one is too dark on that side. I'm very fussy. And same with this one. I accidentally printed on the same paper twice. And then this one isn't printed on the other side. So all of this will get used for the purpose of collage or extra little bits here and there. And so just showing you my offcuts. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're getting up there. Okay, so the last thing to show you is how I decide on the papers. And so I will show you a few of them and what I do with them, and then kind of take it from there. So whenever I'm making a journal, I always have a template. Now this is made out of an acrylic plastic piece. If you don't have access to something like this, you can take a laminator sheet and put it through the laminator without paper in it. I cut it down to size. I take a felt marker. Now, because this was a unique book size, I'm again starting from scratch. So I take a felt marker and I mark the outside just to give me the boundaries and that I can see it better. I do say which is the top, so I know that this page, this is going to fold up like this, and I give myself an arrow. I give myself the measurements just so I know what it is I'm working with. And because sometimes I have to run and get a piece of paper and I'll say, oh, I wonder if this will fit or if this will work. Not that every piece of paper has to be the exact same size, but it's the starting point. So in this case, this is how I do these things. I look at this page and I know it's not going to be a full-size page, right? So I can cut this on the machine, but I'm just going to cut it by hand. But it's a little bit longer than what I really want the paper to be. So the first thing I would do with this paper is trim it out. And I'm sorry, I can't trim this out ahead of time because I'm showing you the different situations. Now, remember when I printed on this side, I printed larger on that side. So I know that when I cut off, this is still fully covered. And these are great washi pieces that I can use. I just have to trim off the white on here and I can use them. Or I can use the plain side and stamp on it and do stuff with it too. So those all go into my washi tape tray. But I think I will, because I'm doing all these journals, I think I will just pile them up. Now, I'm not going to do every page of this, so don't worry. I'm just going to do one of this style. And then you can kind of figure out how I decide from there. Now, just getting those out of the way. So now I have the journal page, but you can see that if I fold this in half, it is going to go way beyond the journal page. I don't have to worry about the height because it does fit within the height. So I have to decide, do I want to fold it in half where some of this is going to show, this other image, or do I want to have it centered and cut off the edges? Do I want to cut the edges off? I can cut them off, or I can fold them over, whatever it is I decide I want to do. So in this case, I'm just going to fold them over. And I'm going to do it, just by eyeball and lining it up on my grid a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but just by eyeball. And I'm just going to take this, because it's a heavier piece of acrylic. You can also do this with a piece of chipboard if you want. I'm just folding these in, and I can decide whether or not I want to keep them or get rid of them afterwards. And just giving it an extra little bone fold, or however you want to fold it up. And this is now going to be my journal page. And I know it's going to fit inside my journal. For sure it's going to fit inside my journal because I have this ruffle as well. But you can see that it fits inside my journal. Isn't that going to be lovely? Oh my goodness. Okay, so that is how I would do a page like that. I know it's the length is fine. It's a little shorter than the book, which, you know, I've maxed out at 7.75, so it is a little bit shorter. So that means I have to either stagger it one way or stagger it in the other way, or have it right in the center. So to show you that, I'm going to take this page. Now, this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So I know that if I put my template up here, that's going to be pretty much a perfect fit. You know, I've allowed a little bit of room. It's probably closer to 9 inches across that I have to work with. So 8.5 is perfect. So I'm just going to take my paper now and bring it up, because now I know that this is the perfect height. So I just give a little bit of a pinch. Now, I don't do this for every journal, because usually when I'm doing one journal at a time, I just take it along just to make sure I'm sort of within the area. And then I say, okay, well, maybe I'll fold it back and forth a couple of times. Sometimes I fold a page in half. Sometimes I have one side longer than the other and shorter on the other side. But in this case, because it's 8.5 by 11, I can fold all of these. Now I have to decide, do I want to turn this into 2 pockets, because I have the pocket here, or like the extra paper here, which is probably what I will do. So now the other question is, do I want to fold it on the inside or the outside? At this point, I'm kind of undecided, but I think I'll just put it on the outside. And see what happens with another piece of paper. So now when I go to put this in the journal, you know, I might have this page over top. So you can see that I would either have to decide to stagger that down or stagger that up, or right in the middle. But there are my 2 journal pages. Now I've already got the option of tearing this off, using it for washi tape, gluing it down, giving me a little bit more substance and strength on the end of this page, or making it into a little tuck spot, or using it as an extension. So I'm not going to take this off until I'm fully decided what it is I want to do. Does that make sense? So now I'm just randomly grabbing pages, and so because a lot of these are bigger than 8.5 by 11, I don't want to do the same thing and make pockets on every single page. Some of them I'm going to cut it off. Some of them I'm going to say I'll fold it a different way, or I'll use it for collage, or whatever it is that I like. Now in this case, I have to look at the page, and I really, you know, because I didn't pick them, I really want to try to keep this if I can. But if I turn it sideways, then everything is going in the wrong direction. So I have to kind of look at it. It's going to be narrower, right? So I kind of have to look at it how I want to use it. And to me, this makes sense if this will fit, which is, it's still going to be wider. But if I really want to keep this frame, then I have to consider that I'm going to not use this, and I'm just going to fold it manually. I hope I folded it reasonably straight. And I'm using, for the sake of a quick measurement, I'm using this to give me an idea that I really need to fold this back, right? So I'm going to take my eyeball and fold it back. I do have a little bit of room to allow in case I am over. And so this will now be my page in my journal, but you can see there's only a short piece here. So this now could be used as an extension, that I may want to add an envelope or a flip out page or something to add onto that spot. And again, here I've got this little extra piece, but I can decide whether I want to glue that down for strength or if I want to take it off altogether. And I don't make that decision until that point, because as soon as you do, then you go, oh, I should have kept it. So I kind of, I know that I'm going to use this now as kind of a flip, or not a flip, but I'm going to extend this page. But this I don't know. But I do know that it's way too long. So here again, going back to this template, I know that I don't want to go past that length. And I can go shorter. I can trim it back even more. I can also look at the design and maybe just decide that I want to keep the bottom portion, not the top. But in this case, well, I could have kept both, I suppose. I could do that. I could turn this part down and this part up if I wanted. That would give me more of the design and take away the stuff that I don't want. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So it's just a little bit of a refold. And a refold here. So now, again, I have to make some kind of a decision because I don't want all this extra bulk in here. Sorry, I didn't fold that very good. I know that the page is going to be like this on the one side. I don't know what's happening with this yet, right? When I turn it over, I know I'm going to be extending this page in some way, but I don't know what I want to do here. And that's because if I trimmed all of that off and then glued these two sides down, not the top and the bottom, which I like this idea already, I have a spot where I could tuck something from the bottom and I could tuck something from the top. So instead of keeping this one piece that I thought I would keep, I'm pretty sure now that I just want to cut it off. Now normally I would tear it, but when you tear on camera, got through that. I will keep this because it could be washi tape again. So my page now I don't need to keep this piece. I hope this is making sense because I've already made the decision that I'm going to go with the top and the bottom flap. So I'm going to take out these two little squares just with my scissors. And I am now going to glue down these two sides. I won't do it right on camera, but I'm going to glue down these two sides because I will probably do some inking too so that you can see the actual edge of the page. I don't think there's enough ink on here, but I'll try. But I will glue down the sides or the top and the bottom flaps, and now I have a place where I can tuck something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to tuck from the top. Maybe I'm just going to tuck from the bottom, but I have that option. And for stuff like this from the top, it's as easy as adding in a paper clip to hold it in place, and you've got a nice little secret spot. Or Another thing I can do is I can use this to make an extension. So I could have a piece of paper that is glued onto here that comes down even further. So now it is a built-in flap that I can flip something up. I also could do the same thing on the bottom where I have a built-in flap, and I can flip it back and forth from this point of view as well, making it, you know, probably to fit the page. I can also add things like pieces of fabric in here to bring down the length, pieces of lace, pieces of fringe. So there are a lot of options of what I can add on to this yet to extend it if I want to extend it. But it is ready to go now and sitting in my signature set here. This is not necessarily the order that I'm going to put these in, because you've got pocket, it gets a little bit heavy. You have to always be aware of what's going on the other side of your journal, because you want to create some balance as well. So as I go along, that will be possibly the deciding factor of whether or not these strips come off or get glued down or get turned into something else, because it depends on what you have and how much you have of it. But this just gives you an idea of how I play with the pages. And it's another reason why, as I'm doing these journals, they're all going to be different, because some pages I might fold this at this level, knowing that I'm going to add something extended on, and maybe make a double pocket on this side as well. So it's one of those things to play with as I go. But that is how I use a basic template to get started. The pages will all be different, and I will, as I'm doing these, I will save some pages to show you so that you can see the different styles of pages. Perhaps when I have the signatures done for 2 or 3 books, we can go through them and just flip through the different signatures, and then you can see how I've done the pages, and I will do a demonstration at that point of how I did that page layout or made it work. So that's going to be it for this video. I think it's a lot to show you, and this is a fun way, especially if you're a newbie and you're just getting started with this. This is a great way to help you decide how to work with your pages and how to make them fit. When I made this, I made it just slightly smaller than the page itself. Now I'm taking one that isn't finished so you can see. It is, this is actually about 9 inches, so I went with 8.5 across, because this allows for the pages to, as they go inside of each other, they start to come out a little bit more and get bigger and bigger. So this allows a little bit of growth, but you still have to keep an eye on that. Fortunately, this has a ruffle that allows for even more expansion, so I could creep even further out into the pages following the ruffle itself. But that is why I've made it about 1/2 inch shorter than the actual journal inside cover. The height doesn't really change much, but you know, because there's always some shifting and mistakes made when you're stitching them in, because I don't use a pattern when I stitch. I always like to have a little bit of wiggle room. This is actually 8 inches, and I made it 7.75 so that I do have that little extra room on the top and bottom, even though, again, I've got fringe along the bottom, so I certainly have lots of room to grow along the bottom, and I have this little tiny bit of the brown here, but it also depends on where I glued it. So I went with the body of the cover itself and made it just a little bit smaller. Instead of 8 inches, 7.75, so it's just a smidgen smaller. And in this case, I was very lucky that it worked out to be 8.5 as my width. So all of our papers are pretty much 8.5, and so that is an excellent guide to working with things like music sheets and plain papers and different printer papers and stuff. So it is a good way for newbies to get started. That's it. That's all for today's video. This is part 4. Part 5 will be to start showing you some of the signatures as they are more put together, and probably part 6 will be actually stitching signatures into the book. In those 2 episodes, I will stop and start or show you, different techniques as I've done them. So this will give you some other ideas as we go along. So that's it for now. I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye for now.